So starting from the very first part of this lecture, which is the onboarding. For us to onboard our clients, we start with a sales call. Here, I'm going to try to dive into what we call sales call in a very deep way for you to understand. Now, the way you make your own call or the way you onboard your clients as a startup beginner is different from how an established brand is going to do theirs. For an established brand, it's kind of easier. But for you that you are just starting, there is a couple of things that you need to do. And let's look into that because I'm here for you. An established brand, they don't really need this, but you need this. So let's look at it together so that we can both learn how we are going to handle it in a successful manner. As a beginner, we don't usually have a manner or ways in which we attract our clients because we often try random things, posting on social media, telling a friend to tell a friend, asking for referral, and the list goes on. So most cases, the people we work with, they just bang into us directly on a phone call or via WhatsApp message. So if your client called you, for example, that he wants to work on a project, the mistake we usually make is that immediately they reach out to us on phone about the project. We start discussing the scope of the project. It's fine, but that's not the best way to do it because it's called a sales call. Because it's a sales call, it has to be scheduled. So immediately the client reaches out to you and then they ask about you and they are telling you what they want to work on. Obviously, don't cut them short. They want to take you through a bit of what they want to do. Immediately they made mention of that, try as much as possible to be polite and schedule the call. What way? You can't tell them that, okay, thank you so much. I would like to understand this project further and then I would like to schedule this call for another time. So are you going to be available by 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. or 3 p.m.? Just pick a time that you know you are going to be very, very confident and calm to talk to the client. Either the next day or 2 more days. If he wants to form busy, there's a sense of tension or scarcity that you can create about this schedule call. It can be like, oh, you're currently working on a project right now and you will not be able to attend to them now because you actually do the same thing if you are working on their project. If they can reach out to you or if you can schedule them for a call tomorrow by 12 p.m. or next tomorrow by 3 p.m. or in 1 hour's time. You don't just want the conversation to start immediately. So it can be in 1 hour's time, it can be in 2 hours' time, but don't sound desperate. I want you to note something. Faith will always come to pass. Money that is yours will always be yours. So take every form of tension or every form of desperate that take it off. Schedule them for the call, either in 1 hour's time or the next day as you wish. So immediately you do that, remember, before you schedule them for the call, they already take you through a little bit about the project they want to work on. All right, so immediately you drop the call, you want to prepare yourself for the schedule call. So how do you prepare yourself for the schedule call? The first thing you want to ask yourself is that what exactly would this client want me to do for them? What are they expecting? And the second thing to ask is what did you want to achieve by working on that project or by talking to the client? So you need to work out these two. So you predict your client. And the better way for you to predict your client is if you have your positioning statement in place. Should in case you don't have a positioning statement, this is how you can get one. The very first part is ask yourself, who are you? So I am what? A brand identity designer. Good. The second question, what do you do? That is the problem that you solve. So write it down. I create what? A premium branding. So when I say I create a premium branding, I'm trying to niche down. Forget about that. You create a social media, leave it aside. Niche down on a particular thing. So, and that's what I said. I create what? A premium branding. Okay? For who? That's the third question. For startup service-based business. So, startup services business, there are those people who I serve. All right? So, put the whole of the three words together, construct it to become what? A sentence. And that sentence is your positioning statement. So, that helps you to determine or predict what they are expecting from you. Okay, if I'm working with a startup business owners, what exactly do they need? All right, they need a strategy, they need a good brand identity system, they need a content territory, they need a brand storytelling strategy. All right, these are the things that they need. All right, can this be the thing that this person wants to discuss on? If yes, then you ask yourself, what can make this person not to go on with me? If you can answer that question, that is the objection, what can make this person not to continue with this particular project? Can it be budget? Can it be timeline? Can it be because I'm not good enough, or the way I sound, or because I'm just an individual person, I'm not what? A large or big agency? You need to think and answer that question correctly. And when I say correctly, I don't mean that you should be absolutely right, but you should be convinced that this might only be the reason why they are not going to work with me, for them to have reached out to me. So if you have all of that in place, then you ask yourself, what exactly do you want to achieve by going on this call? Obviously, as a designer, it's three things that we usually look out for. Number one, to make sure or see that the budget that they have is tally with the budget that we are expecting them to keep for this particular project. That is your minimum engagement. Secondly, is the timeline of the project. And thirdly, is the scope of the project. Already, you know that the only thing you do is brand identity. You don't do UI UX, right? Or any other part of the design that they may request for. So you know what you want to do for them. So if what you want to do for them is not in line with what you know how to do or what you are doing, then you can gladly refer them to somebody else. Or the problem they want to solve, you discover that what you are doing cannot solve that problem for them. You'll be glad to refer them to somebody else. So you know the three things that you want to achieve in this particular meeting. That is the budget, the timeline, and the scope. So what's the next thing to do? The next thing to do is to put the call across to them. But before you put the call across to them, you have to be confident about yourself. Don't let the tone of your voice, don't let it change. Don't let them see you or perceive you as somebody who is desperate. So, and how can you do that? You can do that by knowing the meaning of what? Sales. What's the meaning of the word sales? S stand for what? Serve. For you to serve, you must have two things in place. You must love and also what? Care. If you want to know more about this, you can what? You can read the book called The Carpenter by John Gordon. So if you read this book, you are going to understand these three things about what? Serve, love, and care. So if you want to serve your clients, you must love them and you must care for them. That will let you advise them or do what actually works for them instead of you wanting to just collect your money. So, second thing, which is the A, is that ask questions. Most times, designer usually want to educate the client by teaching them what a good logo look like, what a good color. You are not that kind of a designer, because your client is not the kind of student that agree that they don't know and they comes to meet you to teach them. Your clients are the kind of students who don't know but did not know that they don't know. So for you to teach that kind of a student, all you need to do is to ask questions. Is that taken? So how do you want to ask your questions? Ask your question in manner that just with a single question, every other questions can come from that. So what's the third one? The third thing, which is letter L, is to listen. You must listen to your client. And how can you let them know that you are listening to them? Is by repeating what they said, word for word, before you ask the next question. So if you can do that, your clients will know that you are more attentive to them and you are listening. And then, what's the last one? E, which is what? Empathy. You must empathize. And with all these things in place, it helps you to do what? To do the justice to the sales call that you're about to go on. So if you want to see what the conversation will look like when you are on the sales call, you can download what? The sales scripts for this particular project in this document below. So check the description part of this video. You are going to find the entire document that you need for this particular course. So when you are done with the sales call, but let me give you an hint. In this sales call, there's a way we arrange the whole of the things we want to do, so that you can save your own time and at the same time save your client's time. What are those things? Number one is that when you want to discuss, immediately you start and show them that you know where you guys stop from before you schedule the call. The next thing is to know their budgets. Why? Because you don't really have a structure that help you to streamline the people that reach out to you. That will make you know that for this person to reach out to me, definitely they have our budget. For example, if you go on our website, you definitely see what our pricing schedule looks like. And anything that makes somebody to reach out to us by getting what? A consultation, that shows that that person is what? Is the right fit for us if we give the person a call. But you don't have that in place, it's not a problem. So that's why you are starting to know their budget first. All right. For this particular project that you want us to work on, we usually charge from X to Z. That's the range in which we charge. Does your budget fall in between this? If the client say yes, then you know that budget or pricing is not the reason why they are not going to work with you. Then you move to the next stage. What's the next stage? The timeline. Why? Because if the timeline is short, that is not going to meet up to the time where you can produce a good job for them, then you don't want to waste their time discussing the scope of the project when you know that at the end of the day, you'll not be able to work on the project because of the timeline. So if you ask them, how soon do you want these things to ready? If they tell you in 2 weeks time, if the project is going to take you 8 weeks, just like this particular one we want to work on, then you don't want to waste their time because 2 weeks is not enough for you to get it done. So, but if the client tell you that, oh, we need it in the next 2 months, that's the right fit for you because it's within the 8 weeks that you know that the project is going to take. So you can then go to the scope. By that time, you have the whole of the time to listen to them when it comes to what? When it comes to the scope of the project. And after you listen to the scope of the project, what is the next thing to do? The next thing to do is what we're going to be discussing in the next class. We are still on the part of onboarding your client, and I want to be very sure that you are following. So download the whole of the documents that you need for this particular course in the description part of this video, and I'm going to see you in the next class.